Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Are You Listening with Abigail. Do you know what? I'm recording this first thing in the morning. I don't think I've recorded a podcast episode. It's 9 a.m. Like, I'm an early bird now because obviously, we are with puppy child, so that wakes us up at like 6 a.m. So I've already been awake for like hours. So we're actually taking him for his first his second vaccination today. So that means in a week's time he'll be able to go for a walk. And when I say he is so ready to go on a walk, like, I cannot wait to actually be able to take him out. He absolutely loves being in my parents' garden, obviously on a watchful eye, on a lead, things like that. He bounces around, so he needs this. But yeah, we've got to take him for his jab, and I feel so sad. So that appointment's in like an hour, and I thought, let's get this going. I wanted to get it recorded nice and early. So I hope everyone's well. I hope everyone's having a lovely Sunday or whatever day of the week it is for you. Little man is asleep next door. He may join us halfway through the episode if he decides to wake up. If not, he 100% will make an appearance at some point in the future. So don't worry, guys, for anyone watching the visual. But hope everyone is well. Is it 2 weeks till Christmas today? Let me double check. Let's have a look. Yes, oh my god, like, we are literally 2 weeks out from Christmas Day. I am really excited. I feel very festive this year, and I haven't really done anything necessarily Christmassy. I think how Christmas decorations went up early, it seems that everyone's very in the mood this year. There's been previous years where you talk to people and they're like, I'm just not feeling Christmassy. And I haven't come across anyone who's feeling like that yet, which is amazing. Get to see my grandparents this weekend. I'm actually going to a friend's baby shower this weekend, which is so lovely. And yeah, the sun is out as well. So let's get started. Talking of Christmas, I kind of wanted to talk about how Christmas changes as you get older. And this may not be relevant for everyone, because I suppose if you've always had small Christmases, then maybe they haven't changed as you've got older. But I wanted to kind of talk about the concept of, which I suppose will be relevant for everyone, it's just how Christmas feels very, very different as you start to get older, and where the magic goes, and you kind of feel that nostalgic kind of feeling when it comes to Christmas. And all over TikTok you see these videos being like, you kind of mourn the feeling that you get for Christmas when you're a child. Like, Christmas for us was very big, and that real typical 90s naughty sort of Christmases where, like, my dad recorded it from beginning to end, opening every single present. And when I think about, or watch them back, they are so nostalgic, and I do miss that feeling, and I wish that I could kind of just bottle up that feeling or go back in time to experience that again. So yeah, I kind of wanted to paint a bit of a picture as to like what my Christmases felt like growing up, and what they were as to what they are now, I suppose. And I would love to know what people's Christmases were like for them growing up, because everyone's very, very different. Growing up, Christmas was absolute chaos. Like, think 30 people, loud, every single room you're in, there's people. There's always someone's auntie's, cousin's, boyfriend's nan, like, that you just don't know that's there. I have no clue who half these people are. And this went on for years and years and years, to be honest. This week kind of went on for like, yeah, well, they've obviously got smaller as I've got older, but they were always big up until the last kind of few years, except for like the odd Christmas where, like, obviously things just didn't work out, or COVID, things like that. I remember Christmas being this really big event, to the point where, like, if you mention Christmas too early, my mum would be like, don't mention Christmas yet. No, stressful. That is a stressful thing, because it's a very big thing for us. Boxing Day was then Christmas Day part 2, literally seeing the same people the next day. Now, Christmas wasn't necessarily like this big drinking event for my family. It was just very big. It was like, everyone's mother-in-laws, father-in-laws, like I said, the random aunt. There was always a random friend of an uncle's who had been kicked out on Christmas Day, so he was there, like, who I didn't know. Me or my cousins. One of my cousins is born on Christmas Day, so not only did we have Christmas Day, it was always his birthday was the first half of the day, and then the second half of the day was Christmas. So it was very big. Like, it didn't just feel big, it was very, very big. It was full, and there was always something happening. And my family is very like that anyway. Big, loud, a lot of people, more the merrier. And Christmas that was exactly how Christmas was. And I think the transition into adulthood, it has been different. You know, as you get older, every year shrinks because, you know, family members pass away, which is so sad, but they do. Family members pass, people break up. You know, as family members get older, they go to partners' Christmases, people move away, families change, everyone's busy, new partners are then added, and then suddenly your Christmas looks like nothing like what you used to remember it as. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but it can feel very weird for the age group that this podcast is aimed at. Obviously, anyone can listen to this podcast, but what I would say is for your 20s and 30s, maybe before having kids and things like that, this period of time where your Christmases do change can feel really weird. And like I said, it doesn't necessarily need to be a bad thing, but it sometimes is a bit of a weird, you know, the first few years it started happening, I would be really like, oh, like, I'm not seeing my cousins on Christmas Day. Like, what do you mean? Like, I really held that close, and I felt like it was a shame that was changing, but it was inevitably going to change. So this year, I would say, is probably the biggest change, and I don't know how to feel about it. Like, it will still be lovely, but for the first time, I'm not going to be with my sister on Christmas Day, which and I don't know if she'll even listen to this episode, but that for me feels weird. Like, I'm the older sister, but I've 4.5, nearly 5 years, and I've never spent a Christmas Day away from my parents and my family. So the fact she's doing it first feels very weird. I've spent 29 Christmases with my sister. So, like, I don't think you realise how much, if you do have siblings, how much Christmas, for me specifically, I would say, and a lot of people probably relate, when I think of Christmas and I picture Christmas, like, my sibling is Christmas as much as my mum and dad, if not more. Like, she is the closest thing that I have, like, to me, you know? So, like, suddenly they're not there, and I just think that's going to be the weirdest thing ever. Like, I'm really excited for the day, but it's going to be really strange knowing that, like, my constants of my family members, say, like, my mum, my dad, my sister, like, one of them's not going to be there. So, and it's almost like a reminder that, like, we're really growing up now. Because, yes, I've been a few years without seeing certain cousins and things like that and family members, but I've never had it that my sibling isn't there. So I do feel like that will feel very, very bizarre. Very bizarre. I do think, you know, there has to be a shift from nostalgia of that Christmas and what it used to be. And, you know, I'm very lucky to have these really lovely memories, to acceptance that Christmas looks different, and then kind of setting the intention of, like, okay, well, what does Christmas look like going forward? That doesn't mean I'm never going to spend it with my sibling again. It doesn't mean I'm never going to spend it with aunties, cousins ever again. But you do have to kind of set a new intention and build what Christmas looks like going forward. So this year we are doing something different. It's very small. Me, my mum, my dad, my boyfriend, his mum and his little brother are coming. And then 3 dogs. So that's going to be chaos. But I'm excited. I think it'll be really nice. It feels very intimate and calm and a real contrast to what I'm used to. But for my partner, this feels like quite a big Christmas, because he's used to it being just a few of them. And, you know, I think going forward, I want to kind of plan what Christmas feels like. And I know we want to have kids in a few years. I don't want to have to choose between what grandparent we're going to see. I want to join them Christmases together early, so that our kids, future children, can experience being with both grandparents at all times, because I didn't have that growing up. My grandparents on my mum's side passed away when I was very, very young. They were young, and my grandparents that I still have on my dad's side live up north, so it was hard to kind of see them on Christmas Day, and it just, unless they kind of came down to us, we now and again would go up there, but very often I didn't see my grandparents on Christmas Day, and I felt like that's kind of something that I feel I missed, and I don't want my future children to miss. So yeah, there is this weird emotional complexity with there being a weird grief of growing up and looking like this does make you kind of reflect, but like, this is what my Christmases were like and this is what they're like now. And I think because we don't have kids yet, and like my intimate family, say my mum, not my mum, my sister and me don't have children yet, so there isn't this kind of like building a family to create that feeling again. So that's where I think there's like this weird in between phase. I think I need to, and there needs to be an acceptance of like loving where I am now, but you can grieve and miss where you've been. And like I said, I can miss how my Christmases used to be. I can miss that, of course I can. But I also feel like it kind of sets the intention of what I want my Christmases to feel like when I've got children. Like, I want to replicate that as much as I can. And I want to replicate that also for my partner, who never experienced big Christmases, didn't experience a lot at Christmas at all. And I want to replicate what I had, because I feel very grateful and very lucky for that. I am excited for this very adult Christmas because it's different. But yeah, no one kind of warned you about the part of like all of a sudden. The thing is I feel like no one warned you that growing up means losing certain traditions and without realising that it's happening. I feel like all of a sudden it happens and you don't realise it's happening. Like at one point, our big Christmases stopped, and I kind of didn't realise that would be our last big Christmas. And I think that's kind of sad, but it's also nice. I hope this makes sense. I just feel like, but yeah, I kind of briefly touched on kind of what I want for the future. But like I said, I've been thinking about what I want my future Christmases to look like. Yeah, I don't want my kids to have to choose between grandparents, and I completely appreciate that not everyone will have that luxury. Like I said, my partner's family on his side are very, very small. So I do feel like, it makes sense to mix the families together where we can, but I appreciate that some people have big families on both sides and that can't be done, and there does have to be a choice between Christmas at one grandparent's, then Christmas at another grandparent's the following year, and things like that. And Christmas doesn't necessarily need to be like 30 people again. And when I think about my family, I do think like, how would that be the case? I mean, it possibly may happen. But I kind of want that sense of everyone being together and everyone enjoying it and everyone having a good time. And I want my future children to look back and be like, Christmas was really special. Christmas had this certain feeling to it. And I really appreciate the fact that, sorry if you can hear the washing machine, literally sounds like it's going to take off. I want my kids to appreciate the fact that their parents made Christmas a really special thing, because I really appreciate the fact that my parents and extended family made that really special for us, and that can be quite a difficult feeling to make for your children. Some people I've got friends that don't love Christmas because their parents aren't together, and it means a lot of travelling back and forth, and it doesn't feel like Christmas and it's not relaxing. And I completely appreciate that. Last year we did split Christmas, and it meant that you're spending Christmas Day with my partner's mum and then coming back with my parents and then going back Christmas. Like, it was a lot, and it did kind of take the fun out of Christmas for me, because there wasn't any relaxing. I felt like I was on edge because we were going to have to travel back and forth, and I can't imagine what that's like for people who do that every single year. So I completely appreciate that Christmas feels different for everyone. It really, really does. What I will say is that like, I've been very lucky with Christmases, regardless of how small my Christmas is now. I know that a lot of people have lost family members, and, or families just look very, very different. And I think that Christmas can be quite a sad time, and I do appreciate that. And I do think that that's something that I can't imagine how hard that is, to be honest. And I would say that like, for the people that have had them things happen, I can't give you advice because I can't relate, and my heart goes out to people who are experiencing that. What I will say is I think it's important to try and find the spark of Christmas again after something like that has happened, or, you know, something maybe has altered your Christmas this year, or, yeah, I just think trying to create something that's cozy and Christmassy feeling, whether that's literally just sitting down and having a hot chocolate and a film, send Christmas cards to loved ones that are still around that you won't get to see, treat yourself, buy yourself a present, why not, or create a tradition that feels good to you, not just maybe what you hear other people doing or what looks good on Instagram and TikTok or things like that. Or I don't know, I also have friends that have worked at food banks on Christmas Day because their Christmases were just one or two of them, and I think that's also absolutely amazing. And something that's amazing, I don't know what other word to give it other than genuinely, it's giving your Christmas up to go and help others is incredible, and I can't imagine the gratitude that people feel for the people that do volunteer to do something like that. But keep it simple, like really keep it simple. Christmas will feel different for a lot of people going through this period of time, and Christmas changes, but it's not always in a bad way. Sometimes it's just different. How families shrink, they grow, they separate, they blend, people move, people don't come home, new people join, and somewhere in all of that we're supposed to figure out what like adult Christmas looks like, or what Christmas looks like and feels for you. And I'm realising this year that maybe the magic, it's not gone completely, it's just changing, and we get to build the next version of Christmas, which is still really lovely, and I'm very, very excited for. And even having a puppy this year, like that brings a lot of excitement and joy, because okay, he's not a baby, but I just think it does kind of bring back that Christmassy sort of feeling. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to just touch on this because I think a lot of people kind of miss the nostalgia of Christmas of when you're young, and it doesn't necessarily have to feel sad. It can feel nice, and it can feel exciting, and it can still feel magical. Like, go to that Christmas market or go and watch a Christmas film. A lot of these little pop-up Christmas, like outdoor Christmas spaces where you can sit and watch Love Actually, like we've done that before and it's lovely. Or even just going into town and seeing the lights, or literally just sitting down and watching a Christmas movie with your Christmas tree on, like that can be enough to make you feel very Christmassy. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. It's something just a bit different, something that's just been on my mind, and something that people will relate to in all different aspects. And I really hope that I've done it justice. And like I said, not everyone loves Christmas, not everyone's going to have a really great Christmas, so I do think that it's important to touch on that too. But I'm sending a lot of love to anyone who is struggling around Christmas. I'm sending a lot of love to anyone whose Christmases look very different. And yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed this. I would absolutely love it if you all like, comment, share where you can, Spotify, YouTube. I'm not sure where I'm going to record a podcast episode for next week. I really am planning on recording as normal, but next week looks absolutely chaotic, so it may just be a short little snippet of an episode just to tide us over. And then obviously it is then Christmas, so I probably will take a little bit of a break, and then there will be one between Christmas and New Year. Even if it is not my usual scheduling on Sundays, I promise there will be at least one or two more episodes before the end of the year, and then obviously in January will be a nice fresh start. So yeah, hope everyone has a lovely day, and I'll see you on my next one. Bye guys.